When the Bahraini government began violently suppressing peaceful protests in the country, hospitals began filling with people who needed help. Doctors and nurses responded by treating their patients. It was a natural part of the responsibility of a medical professional to preserve life. But the kingdom's justice ministry says they were trying to topple the ruling Al Khalifa family. On Thursday, dozens of medical staff were tried in a military court and convicted of anti-state crimes. At least 13 of them were sentenced to 15 years in jail. Others were given shorter prison terms. The verdict is the product of a systematic campaign to find and punish medical professionals who helped injured protesters. Masked police raided hospitals and clinics and dragged people away. By convicting them, the government is sending a clear message: don't mess with the monarchy. Pro-democracy demonstrations began in Bahrain in February, inspired by similar revolts in Tunisia and Egypt. The majority Shia population was calling for a more representative government and for social reforms. The Bahraini government responded with violence. By March, the voice of the people had been muffled. As the world celebrated other reform movements in the region, Bahrain's people were being rounded up and imprisoned. Medical workers were not the only ones under scrutiny. On Wednesday, 2 professional handball players were sentenced to 15 years in jail for taking part in anti-government demonstrations. Lengthy sentences were handed down to activists and journalists, and they were upheld despite appeals. Human rights groups say the courts failed to fully investigate reports and the defendants were tortured in custody. Defense lawyers are said to have had limited access to clients and evidence in the case. Following the uprising, Bahrain's emir promised to make reforms. But those promises will seem hollow to the dozens of doctors and nurses jailed for helping his own people. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera.